Bluegrass. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of BAs on the Street. The Bluegrass chapter is always very interested in spending time with our BAs in our community to learn more about their journey, where they're at, and then to share that with all of you. So today we have the delight of talking to Kathy White. So, Kathy, welcome. The Bluegrass chapter has had opportunities to spend time with you, and so tonight we're very much looking forward to doing so again. And then additionally, we have Erin Wittenberger, who is, my co-partner in events or crimes or whatever we want to call these that we're doing. But this is a friendly event. So if you've been to any of them before, you know that we love it when you engage with us and ask questions. So feel free throughout this conversation, because that's what this will be, to, ask a question, whether it be in chat or, come off mute if you're on mute, if that's possible. And then ask away, because, this is our time together to learn more from Kathy White about her experiences in the BA space. So, Kathy, would you mind sharing with everybody a little bit more about
Yeah.
yourself?
Just want to
Yes.
let you know that we are international. Vadu is
Oh,
here in Australia.
Oh, wow.
oh, welcome. Welcome, welcome. So,
Sorry,
Kathy,
didn't mean to interrupt.
that I just got done saying feel free to interrupt. So, see, that's how you do it, everyone, and we don't mind. So, Kathy, share with us what a little bit more or a lot more about yourself. We really want to, for you to start to share your journey with us and, what you're up to and accomplishments,
Okay.
or just, whatever you want to share.
Well, I have been in IT for 30 plus years. I have done, I guess I'm a little bit like, some may not know, but I'm kind of like Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere, man. I've done everything. I've started out on the mainframe. I've worked in operations. I've done development. I've been management. I've done business analyst. I did, way back when back when I first started development, we did everything. We started from the beginning. We pulled our own requirements. We did our own test cases. We did everything from beginning to end. We did have separate people test for us. We did our own testing unit. We called it unit testing, and then we had other people did other testing for us as well, separate, so that we made sure that we caught our errors.
Kathy,
We
Right.
worked everything. So as business, we were kind of business analysts as we were developers, but I've
so
worked.
Kathy,
Yeah.
so if you're like Johnny Cash, does that mean you walk the line?
Yeah, I've walked a lot of
Oh,
lines, that's for
oh
sure.
no. Oh no.
Definitely have, definitely have.
If if you met Aaron, you know that there's going to be a bunch of those sprinkled in here.
That's okay, I like it.
Excellent.
I've spent most of my career working on um, DoD, Department of Defense type of contracts.
Okay.
I had a little bit of worked at Humana for a little while, so a little bit of insurance type medical in my career, but a lot of it's just been working with the military, so that's been pretty rewarding in my career.
That's
Like I said, I've
amazing.
done it all, and I'm back into a BA position right now. I'm doing a senior business analyst right now, and so I've done all brands of it at this point in my career.
Wow. So I mean, 30 years in IT is pretty impressive. So I'm going to ask a couple questions.
Okay.
When did you realize that the work you were doing was BA work? Having been in IT myself for a while, you know, for the longest time when you talked about, getting requirements and creating test cases and all of that, it used to be like that was just part of your job, right? Like you had this
Mhm.
thing that you needed to deliver. And in order to do it, you needed to find out what people needed. And you also needed to make sure you got tested and all those types of things. But for a long time in IT, I don't necessarily know if people were called BAs. So what are, when did it really become like that's what you were or what you were doing?
I think they really started looking at processes and trying to do repeatable processes and things like that. And that's when I think it really started getting more defined in these people are going to do this because I think in IT, as they started finding out, if you're doing all of it, it's hard to catch your errors
Oh,
because
yeah.
our brain, I mean, we've noticed even when you're reading something, if it's wrong on paper, our brains correct things because
Right.
we know what it's supposed to be. We even find that in testing and everything else that we know what it's supposed to look like. And so we're testing towards that, what the correct answer is. So we're missing things. So it's even better to have somebody who doesn't know what it's supposed to do or what we think it's going to do. They know what the requirement says it will do, so they test better that way. And so I think it was the natural progression for, hey, we've got CMI, we've got all these
Hmm.
different things we're trying to get to a level of repeatable processes. So we're dividing up this work. And I think that's when, oh, well, if you're doing all of this work, it's going to be harder for you to catch your errors. It's going to be harder for you to repeat these processes because you're not going to catch it as easily. So
Right.
I guess I was kind of there as it happened. So I was doing all these things together, and then all of a sudden we're breaking it up. So I watched it as it happened
Wow.
as a developer and then as a BA and even in leadership. But I will say this, as as I look back through my career, the BA piece of it plays into all of them. You
Oh,
use that
absolutely.
skill set in everything that you're doing. Your problem solving, your analysis, your all of that stuff that you do, the requirements gathering, all of the things that you do as a BA, it helps you in every area that you go to.
Yeah, I
Leader,
couldn't agree.
everything.
I couldn't agree with you more. And you think about those skills that you build, those muscles that you have,
Hmm.
regardless of what things are called, whether they're requirements or nowadays user stories or whatever else, you're
Hmm.
still trying to really get that deep
Right.
understanding and, really understand it. I recall back in the day, a lot of times we were called process improvement people because
Hmm.
people,
Right.
like in the IT space I was in, didn't really understand or recognize like business analysis for the profession that it was in. I mean, you were expected to do that work and have that understanding and get that
Hmm.
information from people, but you weren't actually even called that at that time. It wasn't until like further in my career that, BAs and engaging in that as a term really became a tangible like role for under discussion, right? And so
Right.
you were always hoping that the companies that you were working with understood that even though they didn't call them BAs, that there was still that core skill set was needed and it needed to be applied. And if not,
Hmm.
you're not going to be streamlined, you're not going to be deliver in maybe the most efficient way the the deliverable that you're being asked to deliver. So so when you said mainframe, okay. So I'm curious, when is the last time that you got to interact with true mainframes, like PL1s or all of those? I mean, has it been a while, or are you still dabbling in that?
I'm not dabbling in any of that now.
Okay.
It was probably around 2010. HRC still has mainframes. They still have
Hmm.
mainframes that they're using. They've got
Right.
legacy systems that run on mainframes. That I mean, they're not the same mainframes that I started on. The ones
Right.
that took up whole floors of building,
Right.
they're
Huge.
not those same ones. They're a
Right.
lot smaller now. But
Right.
and I think our phones have the processing power of what those room full of computers used to have
Yeah.
now. So, but they still in HRC they still have them. So it was around about 2010. At that time,
Okay.
I was a service delivery manager for the mainframe team. So I was
Okay.
working as their leadership at that point. So I had been out of mainframes for a while at that point because I had developed in Power Builder and Java and some other
Okay.
different languages. So um, at
Okay.
that point, I had to kind of relearn some of what I did know about mainframes in 2010. So, but that's still
Oh,
been
well.
several years ago.
Yeah, I still know of businesses that have mainframes that, they're still chugging away, right? I mean, it's
A lot of financial
costly, it's
institutions, yeah.
it's it's not easy to convert from a mainframe to something else.
Hmm.
I was involved in a a project where they were attempting to do it. It took them a very long time because, people are still making changes while you're trying to, get it migrated over. So lots and lots of work. So BAs are definitely needed there.
Right, right.
Yep.
Very much so, because that's going to take a lot of problem solving, a lot of
Yes.
analysis. It's going to, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And I do know that there's still mainframes out there. I had some auditing experience in the background, and one of the things that people would ask you would be like, "Do you have any mainframe auditing skills?" So it's kind of like, if you still have those skills, there's always that opportunity to go out there and
Right.
help check out some systems to see how well that they're doing. So
Hmm.
mainframe. So anybody here have any experience with mainframes? I'm just curious. No? Okay.
I know at one point I had talked to my leadership team, and we had some younger people we were training to do some of the mainframe
Yep.
jobs because we couldn't find people. They were either retiring. Well, I used to joke with my team because I said, "Y'all are either retiring or dying." And I said, "I need people to keep doing this job." And
Yeah.
they used to joke with me because they would just call themselves old or dying. So, but we started training some younger people to do that. And one of them, because we couldn't keep up with the salary, he went somewhere else because
Right.
there are other people there
Hmm.
that have mainframes, and they said, "Hey, this is like a gem. He's like a
Right.
he's just what we're looking for." And I was like, "I told you all, you got to take care of these people because people they're going to steal them.
Right.
They
And
still
and
need
so
them."
the reason why I'm more so asking about mainframes also because it's been a while since I've had a fun
Mhm.
conversation about mainframes with people is that like the skills that you learned back then, your BA skills, your development IT skills, I mean, they do span the test of time. So
Mhm.
even if you weren't actively supporting one or the day that the last mainframe gets shut down, you still all of those skills and all the things that you needed to do to support it, to develop it, to do, in my case, audit it to make sure that it's functioning as intended, um, are still current and relevant. You can pick up those core techniques, those skills, and then
Mhm.
translate them to the work that we're doing today. I mean,
Absolutely.
from that perspective, a BA, we have the ability to transform ourselves over the course of our career, regardless of whether you were called a BA, whether you were doing operations, whether you're in management, back to BA again. You haven't lost anything. You've only gained things over the course of time in the ability to interact in various roles,
Mhm.
and also with just different systems and tools and people. Has
Yeah.
there has any of like throughout that journey that you had, are there any like not systems necessarily, but any like of those BA techniques or skills that you've learned that you've really just like relied upon, time after time, like it's just like a skill that like everybody should consider having?
I mean, I would say really your problem solving skills that you
Okay.
get from being a business analyst. But I mean that's kind of almost without being said, right?
No, we
You're
should
always
say
going to
it.
need your problem solving skills. But I mean, I've just noticed that it they kind of keep you aware and looking out for different things. So if you're as a business analyst, you're kind of looking for things regularly. What could be the issue? What could be the problem? And
Okay.
um, one of the things I think I like about being a business analyst is I'm a I'm a weird personality maybe. I'm kind of analytical, but I'm also a very creative person. And I like the fact that as a business analyst, I get to use both of those. So
Excellent.
there's an
Yeah.
very analytical side to it, but there's also a lot of room to be creative. There's
Hmm.
your problem solving skills, you get to find that creative side sometimes. There's because you get to look for we're going this way and everybody's going this way, but there may be a more creative way to figure this out and work a problem.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's kind of so I think that helps with the problem solving. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, I
one of
have
the
a
things I love
problem.
about
I have a problem right now. Maybe you can help me solve.
it.
And this isn't prepared, everyone. This is ad hoc question. So, as a business analyst, my persona is going to be a Scrum Master. And I, support people as they're what? Going through the entire life cycle of getting something from a twinkle to delivered, right? So I'm engaging with BAs and developers and project managers, product owners, all kinds of people. And when you have a core BA background, meaning like all these things that you've learned over the years, regardless of the role, and you see people that are when there's a elicitation or just talking about that problem solving, and you have a person or persons that they want to be the one that's coming up with like how to solve the problem. And then everybody else in the background, it becomes in the background, right? Like it's their ideas, their whatever. Have you found, and this is literally a question I need to have answered. Have you found any like of any of your BA techniques that would be good to help get that person to be like, let's focus on only what their ideas are and make sure that it encompasses other people, right? Like the other stakeholders are involved as well. Do you have any recommendations for me on anything I could try?
Well, I mean, do they just shut other people down?
Yeah. Yes. See, you're trying to solve the problem by asking questions, right? There
Well,
we
that's
go.
the only way I know how
That's
to
a
do it.
great, I like that. So
So,
yes. So yes, the person is starts to think and create out loud. They're trying to be
Mhm.
creative, but they're not asking questions. They're trying to say this is how it should be solutioned when you're still back on the part of like, what is the problem? So how would as a BA, like if I was the BA, I'm the Scrum Master here, so I'm trying to like figure out like how to get these people sorted. How as a BA, are there any techniques or things that you could do to kind of like pivot the people without being like, hey dude, shut up and texting them? I mean, that's always an option. Any thoughts for me?
Are your other people just quiet, or is there someone in that group that you could call on to say, ask them their thoughts that wouldn't, because some people are very introverted. And if you called on them and said, hey,
Right.
do you have any thoughts? What do you think about that idea of what he's saying?
Okay.
Or
So
what do you think the true problem is? Or maybe
okay.
even ask that question back to that person. If they're giving you a solution, say, what do you hear me saying is the real problem here? And maybe
Oh,
get them to
turning the
start repeating,
tables.
have them start repeating back to you what they think you said the problem was. And then that kind of takes them out of solution mode, possibly into, wait a minute, maybe I didn't hear the problem. Let me make sure I got that right.
Right. Because when you start solving, you stop listening
Yeah,
and you stop gathering information from the stakeholders.
right,
Okay.
right.
So in a case like this, I could use the one of the techniques of, posing the question back to them, asking them, what is it? Help me to understand what it is we're trying to solve, and really just try to make take some of the take some of those questions, even as a Scrum Master, to kind of redirect them
Hmm.
back to like, hey, let's get back to what the problem is before we start solving the problem, because I'm not sure we even have all the requirements yet, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I hear what you're saying is the solution. Tell me what you think is the real problem. Because that way it kind of says, hey, I hear you and I want to know what you think the real problem is, because that makes them think in a different direction.
okay.
Definitely.
I like that. I'm going to try that because they do, this is, stakeholder management or, like people need to be heard and not everybody gives everybody the opportunity to do it. And especially people can become quiet when other people are interrupting or when they try to speak, somebody like, "Arr," and it's like people want a safe space, right? They want to be able to
Mhm.
say their thoughts. What they're saying the problem is may not be the actual problem, may be tangential, but to them, they want to provide that information because they feel it may be valuable in
Mhm.
some way to hear the entire story. So I
Mhm.
like that. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
and
Speaking,
depending on the
speaking
personality,
of
I'm sorry, go ahead.
speaking of people interrupting,
Heaven
uh,
forbid.
completely agree with you, Kathy, and stuff. I recently had worked with a brand new business unit within our company in that, and the project request even said on it, we want to install this particular software. So I
Okay,
went to
that's
them
not
and
that's not
it
a
was,
problem.
yeah,
That's
they came to me with a solution, not the
yeah.
problem.
Hmm.
So I went to them and said, why? You know, I asked why 5 times, but not just saying why. I said, what's that package going to do for you? Do you know if there's anything else available on the market that might, solve more of your problems?
Yeah.
And come to find out, it was the manager of the business unit had used that package before at
Oh,
another company, so he was familiar with it. He wanted it, and all of that. So we took a step back from that and did a full RFP process
Hmm.
to really investigate what was available on the market for that particular solution. But I actually got him to step back, just as you were saying, Kathy, step back and define what the problem is that you're trying to.
Right.
right. It
Yeah,
sounds
because
like
a
the
lot of times
problem
people,
is,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say a lot of times people just are focused on what they think the solution is, and they forget
Hmm.
that
Yep.
they don't hear the problem all the way. And if depending on the personality, if you kind of say, "Oh, I was kind of going a different way. I thought the problem was this. Explain to me what you're hearing the problem is," and that kind of it almost compliments them.
Hmm?
And it makes them think a little bit differently. And it says, "Oh, maybe I heard something you didn't. Here's what I was hearing." I don't know. You have to play, you kind of have to play to people's personalities a little bit, and you learn a lot of that through the years.
Hmm.
Right. I had to get the best from them. Yeah, I like these suggestions on how to do that because, no matter what role that you're playing, you still can use your BA skills
Hmm.
that you've had forever, or you're just learning, or you want to actually use something that you just learned about in practice and see how it does, right? You can't be, got to be brave and put yourself out there and, try to hone new skills. So I'm going to try that because I want to make sure from the role, the persona I was playing as the Scrum Master, that everybody has their voices heard and that whatever gets designed and developed actually meets the day and it aligns with the requirements and not somebody who's being creative. You want creative, but you want creative at the right time.
Hmm.
Creative.
And it might encourage somebody else to speak up and say, "Oh, no, I thought the problem was this." And it might actually get other people speaking too.
Right,
Say,
right.
"No,
Because
that's not what I heard." Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and it's hard, like our brains are working fast
Hmm.
and the active listening, like waiting for people to finish. I am not the best at always waiting for people to finish. Brain's engaged and curiosity gets in the way. But allowing people to have that space or that time. But then too, like when we let me continue. So on in a safe space, from a BA perspective as well, like when people aren't heard, do you think some of the time it's because we don't allocate enough time to hear people so that everybody's voices is heard? Because we have meetings all the time and there is always deadlines and there's push, push, push. Do you think anymore that that's a problem as well? Is that we just don't spend enough time to actively hear what the requirements or the people's problems are?
I don't know if it's always about time. I think sometimes it's about meeting people where they are.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it's time, but I think everyone's having a different experience, and and as a scrum master, it's hard to figure out where everybody's at. And it's kind of,
Right.
you said somebody's really pushy and solving, and the other people are like,
Mhm.
"Well, I'm not getting in the middle of that." And they may be
Right.
more introverted, and they may be the smartest person in the room, but they're quiet and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to say anything." But it's kind of meeting people where they're at, and maybe for you, reading their faces a little bit and say, this person always comes up with good ideas after the meeting. I wonder how they'd feel if I actually asked them a question or
Right.
things like that. So, but
Right.
yeah, but
Right.
I mean, time is a factor, I think, but I think it's kind of knowing people a little bit and meeting them where they're at.
Right. And trying to
And
get to know them. Go ahead.
I think it's also not only you may have heard something differently than another stakeholder in that, but if you're putting together multiple teams that
Hmm.
support multiple systems, upstream, downstream, and that, your stakeholders may know their little piece of the current state, but
Right.
doesn't know the whole picture.
That's true
And
too.
that is why analyzing the current state is a
Hmm.
very important part. And I always start with that with every new initiative I do. I mean, the business analyst doesn't go on this journey from the current state to the future state by themselves. You're taking a group of stakeholders with you. And one project I'm working on now, or it's not a project, it's agile. Um, we got three support teams in that, and my system is the middleman. You know,
Okay.
we're sending data back and forth between the other two systems and that. So, um, making sure that, both those other systems understand, the data, understand, process, you know, um, they may think they know.
But they don't.
Like I said, they may know only their piece. They may know how their system is transforming data, but they don't know where, they may know what system it came from, but where did it come from before that? You
Right.
know,
And that whole path. So are you doing like Boomi? Are you doing MuleSoft? I'm just curious. Okay. Well, you can tell me later what that is, because now I'm fascinated by that. So that's another discussion.
And
So
I do like that you said that because that's another skill I think that you get as a business analyst that
Mhm.
that is really valuable to you no matter what you do, is that big picture kind of mentality and
right.
knowing the whole thing and being able to walk it through.
Right. In understanding, I mean, being receptive. And you do find in many of the situations that you're in, people really truly only know a little piece. And until you get everybody together and talking and, this input, that output, et cetera, I mean, people just don't know. And if prior people working on it haven't done all of their homework, meaning they've documented it, they've had people review it and sign off so many times, you don't even have any documents or anything to like be able to piece together to be able to, like say what was already in place already. So Kathy, so tell me, like I was sharing one of my challenges with you, but what challenges are you facing in your daily work? Maybe
Well,
we
right.
can help you out.
Oh, okay. Well, right now I'm working portfolio management.
Ooh,
And I'm working on all of the privacy documentation is what I'm doing for HRC right now. I'm keeping track of the PIAs, so the privacy impact assessments, the SORNs, the system of record notifications. So that all that stuff is talking about how PII is being used, making the announcements that's being used, where we're saving it, keeping it. There's expiration dates on it. We're using the SSN. We've got elimination plans for that. Justifications for why we're using it, and they have different expiration dates. One, like the PIA, it requires the SSN justification and the elimination plans, but they have different expiration dates. You can't complete one document without the other, and they're
oh boy.
expiring at different times. And then you're going through a process, and of course you're working with the government, so you have all these different people. I've got about 30 or 40 different documents and somewhere in a different process right now, and I'm
Oh
trying to
wow.
keep track of all of them. So that's probably one of my biggest things right now. And then I've been working with HRC, and then USEREC has split off from them. So now in my contract, I've got two different commands I'm working with, and both of them. And now USEREC's going to do a different process. So I'm working. Learning another process and having to do two different processes and tracking in SharePoint and on a spreadsheet. So
Oh wow.
right now that's some of my issues for the moment,
Oh
and
wow.
just trying to keep track of all that
Just
is
trying to
where
get, so you need a
my pains
solution
are.
for, you need a solution or something to help with just the tracking of all of these wow.
Yep, and right now it's kind of a manual process for me, and I haven't figured out a better way. even though I'm doing some of it on SharePoint, you still have to go in and check it off and tell you, where it's at and what's going on. And
Right, right. Wow. Wow. Do you find that are people being supportive? Are they helping like you to, as you're trying to get this all pulled together? Are they actively engaged in trying to help come up with a better process or better solution? Or
yeah, I mean, I really think they are, but I think it has to touch so many hands before it gets to be approved. And then
okay.
at the point when it leaves HRC, it goes to G6. And then once it gets there, I lose sight of it and I just have to wait. I've had some documents that I sent and waited for them to get signed, and they've sat there for 3 years when I first sent them and basically expired again without having been approved. And then the documents changed, so I've had to redo them all.
Oh,
And I'm just waiting for, but I have to. I mean, I'm documenting everything so that they know I've done my due diligence and have the documents out there. But so once it gets to one area, there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. So
wow.
those are my pains right now, and I don't know that there's much I can do about it except for just do the work.
Do
Just
the work to get through
keep
it.
pushing it. Yeah, just keep doing it and make sure that I've got all the information and keep everything up to date as much as I can and keep it documented in the Army's databases where they need to
Okay.
keep it and know that we're doing what we need to do so that HRC doesn't get in trouble for not having it done.
Right. Are you allowed to use any of the AI solutions, or because of the sensitivity of the information, that's like just a no at the start, meaning because there's tools and automations and things that, are really becoming hot topics or have been, but are really becoming, more in the limelight. People are using like Microsoft with Copilot, and they're using Power Automate. Are any of those areas that they would let you explore, or it's just, because of the sensitive nature of what you're doing, that's not even
I
a
think any of the,
consideration?
I think the SOPs and things like that, any of that can be used for those. I think I could use the AI for any of that. But the PIAs, they have them in a PDF template, so the
Okay.
information has to be moved to that template, and then the signatures acquired on that template. And with the SORN, they've got. I don't have to really create any new SORNs right now, but I do have to update them as something changes. But and the I don't know that I don't think that because you have a template still for the SORN, so I don't know that you could maybe you might be able to figure out something through AI to do the SORN
Okay.
template. Maybe if you fed it into what the template is, it might be able to help. But you've got to pull the information from documents that are probably not available just anywhere. You'd have to pull it from the Army stuff.
Oh boy. So lots of challenges, lots of ways to use your BA skills to just get the work done, and also to try to come up with some way to you know improve it for yourself, and deliver to those deadlines and
Right,
metrics and
right.
SLAs that you have. Wow, opportunities. I know in our space here at the Bluegrass chapter, we've been exploring AI capabilities
Hmm.
recently, more so, to help try to figure out, like what challenges as a BA that we can overcome by using some of those. And Aaron, are you still around? He may have had to step away. So so if you feel like sharing with Aaron and I any um, business cases or something of a challenge, we may be able to run it through some of the process discussions or AI discussions. So, Aaron, have you been hearing the challenges that she has?
Yeah, yeah,
It
so certainly. So yeah, we've got a very exciting activity. We've posted about it and written. There's a news article about it on our thing, but we are like all other IIBA chapters. Over the last 2 or 3 years since GPT was introduced and made generative AI widely acceptable or accessible to everybody. We've been increasing our activities around Gen AI, a number of um, topics like next week, no Wednesday, November 19th, we have Raj coming in from Australia. So Bindu, you'll be back, right? Um, but his topic is a day in the life of an AI enabled BA. So
Ooh.
business analyst. Um, but what we started last month, we're taking 10 minutes out of our networking time, 10, 15 minutes. And, we're doing a different approach because, Raj will come here and he'll tell you how to use AI and that. Or at best, somebody's coming in, they may demonstrate it. Raj may demonstrate it for us and that. We're taking a different approach that we're calling AI, generative AI for business analysis. Learn by doing.
Hmm.
So we are actually feeding stuff to the audience and having them prompt AI to see what kind of results you get.
Mm.
And and like in that case, we got 10 or 15 minutes. That's not really an excellent time to explore what you're really talking about. And we've got about eight use cases or business cases, business scenarios that put a business analyst in a scenario that they have a problem to solve. So a project. And last time we were in the banking industry, on the 19th, we're going to do the manufacturing
Hmm.
thing. And then the following day at noon, we're doing a lunch and learn, and Steph and I are facilitating it, where we're going to take that manufacturing um, business case and really tear it down. We're going to have 45 minutes to an hour. Now we've got some time to really, understand the business case before we prompt Chat GPT or whatever Gen AI tool that the audience wants to use. And then we're going to prompt it. And, I think last month we did two or three prompts. We actually have six in that prompts ready to go in that series. And that was the banking. I think we got six or seven ready for the manufacturing. And that's what, Steph and I will expand upon that 10 minutes on that. So, we're really for those BAs that, I still hear it out there in the community about I'm going to get replaced by AI. And I don't believe that.
Hmm.
I don't think any business analyst will get replaced by AI, but you may get replaced by a BA who knows how to use AI.
Right. Right.
And so, you can't just take the results back from AI and hand it to your stakeholders. You're not doing them, any benefit or anything because, AI can hallucinate. It can just be wrong. It may give you results that are inappropriate for the situation and that, are not accurate and may not be complete. So using your business analysis skills and expertise to review those results you get from Gen AI and making sure it is appropriate for your situation. That's where the skill of the business analyst really comes in.
Right. And Kathy, you have a lot of skills. And the reason why I brought that up was because you were helping me to understand just like some core things like how do I overcome somebody that to get them to focus on the problem, right? So in thinking in listening to you, it really made me think about like some of that work that Aaron was talking about because when we are trying to learn how best to increase or learn new skills and what can AI do for us? What do we
Mhm.
realistically can we use it for in these big challenges? But what realistic work do we still need to do as a BA? Like, is it
Yeah.
giving us the right stuff? Is it really solving the problem? Is it just delivering a bunch of nonsense back to me that means nothing? And what in part of it too, like you were talking through like we need this, we need this, we need this. It's like really doing a good job of asking the questions and then
Mhm.
getting an answer. Because if it doesn't know information, if you're not asking and getting information back and that feedback, you're really not getting anything from it anyway. I mean, it's just going to say you talked about five things. It's not going to solve them for you. It
Right.
may help you to compile and put together and query what it is you talked about. But you really got to have your keys, your core skills, and be able to use them to get to the problem and ask, am I hearing the problem correctly? And really get to those fine points. So it's kind of like what you were explaining to me. I can use like that conversation to get those results back. And then
Mhm.
every time I do that, because I've been really trying to like figure out how to like really do it for optimum, it just gets better and better. Like my skills get better because I'm not always getting the results back that I want because I'm not digging in deep enough. I'm not
Right.
making sure that they respond. I'm not like, oh, I know what they're gonna say, right? Like so. So I'm glad that
I
you brought that up.
I appreciate you saying that because as soon as you started saying it, at first I
Mhm.
was thinking, no, I don't think that'll help me. And then I was like, wait a minute, how can I use that? Because you were
Yeah.
seeing it through a different lens, which is what
Hmm.
I love because you were using your experience, and so you started making me think through a different view. So I'm already thinking, okay, what how can I use that? Because I didn't, my brain never went there. How can I use AI to help me with this? But you made me think of it differently. So I really appreciate it because I'm going to try some different things now
Yeah,
and
well,
see what I can do with AI.
you're always welcome to any of our things and also for
Yes,
conversation
yes.
because for me, it's like asking you these questions.
Hmm.
First off, helps me to solve the problem, to get out of my own headspace, but also too, it's just like it's part of this BA community, right? Like
Hmm.
how can we share our experiences? What is going on? What can we have somebody else help us, if not just to hear A, listen, or B, just like, hell yeah, I can do that. I know how to do that, or I can certainly learn how to do that. Because if you can go from mainframes all the way to where you're at, you know
Right.
that you can tackle whatever use that you want in
Hmm.
using AI, right? It's a tool, you know. Honestly, I love it for the fact that I can get all kinds of my notes delivered back to me in many ways. I'm like, you just saved me a bunch of time, like just time savings,
Mm,
plus good information as long as I talk to it and prompt it correctly. So
correct. And
excellent.
one of the good things about it too that when I've used it, you're right. It does it helps you to ask better questions because you're
Hmm.
like, that's not what I'm looking for. And then you start forming better questions, and that
Hmm.
actually even helps you as a BA because
Hmm.
it it just like what we were talking about before with the person in your meeting, what's a better question I can ask him to get him to give me better information? You can use it for people. It like how you ask
Yes.
AI is going to help you. How do you deal with the other people as
Hmm.
well? So,
Yep. And just even asking things more clearly,
right,
because if you want
exactly.
an outcome that when you read it, like, yeah, that makes sense. Other
Hmm.
than that, it's just people randomly saying, like, yeah, that's not useful to me.
Hmm.
And you're still taking your own notes, which you should. But
Yes.
anyway, so all right. So we've got just a couple more minutes. Um, do we have any questions that anybody wants to ask of Kathy before I ask her a key question before we wrap up?
So the new was asking about those two sessions on AI that I talked
Okay.
about, the 19th and 20th.
Okay.
So I put all that in the chat if
Okay.
anybody else wants to join us for those.
Okay, great. And then, so Kathy, I'm sure you have volumes of professional accomplishments. Do you have at least one that you would like to share that gives you great pride? Anything that you want to share with us about any of your accomplishments that would leave us inspired?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm probably the most proud about is that I've been on different iterations of it, but I've worked on the beginning when it was on like a mainframe. the Army recruiting systems, and I've helped rewrite it through the years. Um, Worked on gathering the user stories and different things like that for that. And one of the things I think I'm the most proud of is I've helped it to get better through the years, and I'm proud of that because anything I can do to help the recruiters to get better people into the Army, into the military, and anything I can do to make it easier for the people that want to join the military, anything I can do to make it easier for our service members. That I'm proud of the work that I've done there, and to help them to have a better product out there to enlist service members, and anything to make it easier for our service members, because I'm just really proud of the work that I did and that the people that I worked with did for all of them, because I appreciate all the sacrifices that they've made for us, and as they enlist in the military, and knowing that that what they're going to do for our country, it means a lot to me. So uh,
Wow.
that's part of what I'm probably the proudest of through my career, the work that's been done there.
Wow. We are very proud of you for the work that you've done to help people. I mean, our service members are everything, right? Like we ask so much of them, and the least that we could do is try to make just joining and helping to serve our country that just that much easier. So thank you for doing that. Thank you very much. And then, Erin, did you say that there was another question? I don't know how to express my gratitude, by the way. So, other than a little tear, and I'm going to try not to do that right now. So, Erin, was there another question? Okay, I don't know if there is. Okay. All right. Well, with that,
And Duke's got his hand up.
okay.
Yeah, sorry. Aaron, you mentioned there was an AI session for related to banking. I was wondering if that was recorded and if it's available on the IIBA website where you have all the past recordings. Would
Well,
you
it would
know?
be the Bluegrass IIBA website. And actually,
Uh,
we are doing, we started last week. We're doing a 3-week series where we're going to break down the case study a lot more, and then, prompt Gen AI for more data in that. And one thing about this, it's not all about requirements. So on that banking one, the first thing we prompted AI for was to give us a list of questions to ask our identified key stakeholders. And that, so getting into elicitation and that. So we started last week on November 10th on the Monday. So the 17th and 24th are coming up. And the follow-up email that you are going to get will have all 3 recordings when it's all done. So if you attend on the 17th, then you'll get a follow-up email which will have those 2 recordings. And I just put in the chat the link to that event. We still got week 2 and week 3 to go on that one. And on that one, we are doing the banking
amazing.
case and that. So join us for
Amazing. Thanks, Aaron. Sorry,
you are
pardon me.
welcome.
No worries. So Kathy, it has been an absolute honor and a pleasure to spend time with you tonight. It's always great making new friends, learning new things, learning more about your friends in the BA community. And, we appreciate you and so thankful that we had this chance to talk to you today, and definitely look forward to having other conversations with you. And thank you everyone else too for joining. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I just have a big smile on my face, and so thankful that we got to spend this time together.
Thank you all so much for having me.
And
Excellent.
thank you, Steph, for another excellent facilitation of a wonderful discussion between you and Kathy.
I loved it. These are great chances, and also too for everybody that joined, just be able to meet or new friends or keep the ones that we have. So thank you everyone, and have a great week. I know IIBA has its analysis thing going on, so it's the global event. I hope you catch some time with that. tomorrow, I think, is the award ceremony. So we get to see the outcomes from that for sure.
Yeah, so it's Global Business Analysis Day ceremony because Global Business Analysis Day was November 1st, but
Hmm.
IIBA is actually doing their 24-hour event, which starts in Australia tonight, like in about, no, it's actually already started.
Started. Yep.
Um, and it goes just right across the globe. And the US, America's part of it, will be from 11 a.m. tomorrow to 5 p.m. And the award ceremony is at 11:10, where they will celebrate volunteers, chapters. So there's 5 awards that go out to chapters, and then our partner program. So those corporations that are partner um, members of IIBA. So you can come and see if Bluegrass IIBA chapter becomes chapter of the year again. So it's one of these up here. You know, we got it about 3 years ago.
So so hopefully you enjoy it. I plan on attending myself. There's always something great that we learn from them. So and plus just, hang out together in our community. Right. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.